Inventions and early technology in Sumer. Located in what the ancient Greeks called Mesopotamia, which literally means the land between the rivers. Sumer is a collection of city-states that occupied the southern part of Mesopotamia. Ancient Sumer was a very busy place. The cities were built along the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Sumer is located in the area of modern-day Kuwait and Iraq. The cradle of civilization, Mesopotamia, was the birthplace of essential inventions and discoveries. In about 10,000 BC, a group of nomadic people settled in Samaria. They were originally nomads who spent much of their lives hunting a variety of animals and gathering food from around the world. However, they began to experiment with growing crops. By being able to settle down and live stable lives, the ancient Mesopotamians were able to begin making tools and inventions that eased their workloads and made their lives more comfortable. Mesopotamians learned to control the flow of water from the river and used it for irrigating crops. They created irrigation canals, which enabled them to control water and plant crops further away from the rivers which surrounded them. With the formation of monarchical governance, irrigation was developed for large-scale use, and canals were built. The plow. Before the invention of the seed plow, the Sumerians used stone hoes to plow the ground. The seed plow invented by the Mesopotamians was a major technological achievement. It revolutionized agriculture by carrying out the tasks of seeding and plowing simultaneously. Seed was dropped down the middle of the funnel into the furrow that the plow created. The wheel and the chariot. The invention of the wheel is among Sumer's most important contributions to the development of society, since it allowed for a host of other innovations, up to and including the modern automobile. The wheel was not only used for transportation purposes, it was widely used in irrigation, pottery, and milling. The invention of the chariot and other important inventions were based on the invention of the wheel. The first chariot appeared around 3200 BC in Mesopotamia. This form of chariot was used in most every civilization until motorized transportation came into existence. The chariot was not a sudden invention, but the gradual improvement of the earliest carriage. It was the first concept of personal transportation. The chariots were also adapted for warfare, and for over 2,000 years it turned out to be an essential technology of war. For almost all of the histories ever recorded, the number of chariots owned showed the power of any armed force. The sailboat. Transportation by land was hectic and took an enormous amount of time. Sumerians realized that transportation via sea would be a lot easier and more convenient. The first boat was invented and used as transportation in rivers and needed to be navigated by humans. The sailboat was invented with a primitive design, which ultimately helped the people with trade. Time and mathematics. After writing in the form of cuneiform was invented, Mesopotamians found it much easier to study and test their new ideas. They started to come up with new arithmetic techniques. Sumerians made advances in mathematics with knowledge of multiplication, subtraction, division, and addition. Sumerians used math to keep track of building projects and helped them create the ark, the dome, and the column. Astrology. The concept of astrology was developed during the Sumerian period, where even everyday incidents had a spiritual meaning. It was believed that every good thing and bad thing happened for a reason. The astrologers observed the momentary location of the planets. They were heavily used to mark the seasons for harvesting or sowing crops. They were also mapped the movement of the sky, the sun, stars, and the moon, and to predict celestial events like an eclipse.
Each month is represented by one of the constellations in the sky. They're called the zodiac. Our priests watch the zodiac to know which month it is. That way, they know when the floods from the mountains will arrive. We Sumerians also invented writing. My grandfather says that in the old days, nobody knew how to write. Well, if you can't write, how do you keep track of how many animals you sold last month? What are you supposed to do? Paint them on cave walls? No, we're much more modern here in Sumer. We figured out how to write on clay tablets. You just take a piece of reed and cut a stylus from it. That's a sort of hard pointed tool. You press the point into some wet clay, and pretty soon you're writing. Our style of writing is called cuneiform. With writing, you can keep records of everything you do. It's great because then you don't have to remember it all. You also can make things permanent when you write them down. For example, we were the first people to write down our laws. But this is maybe the best thing we invented: the wheel. You'd think somebody back in the old days would have thought of it sooner, but we were the first. Before carts and wheels, we used to just drag things around. That was hard.